everybody, welcome to the mini Zoom series dedicated to facilitators and their favorite tools, Confessions of a Facilitator. And today I have the pleasure, the leisure, the honor and excitement to have Yasodhara Romero Fernandes with me. And I still have something to say. For those of you who don't know what Access Consciousness is, because we are dealing with tools of Access Consciousness, right? Now, to me, and you're going to get this visual of mine, is this huge toolbox where you go in, you pick some tools, and you change your life like that, like by magic, with one condition, that you choose for it. So, Yasodhara, before you get to talk, two rules. One, we have fun. Two, when rule number one fails to apply, we apply rule number one. That's the rule number two. That's, complicated. And then I have two questions for you. I'll do it very, very dramatic. Who are you? And what is your favorite tool? And now it's your time. Now you can go.
I love that. Who am I? Well, for the people that know Access Consciousness, I think you know that you change all the time if you choose to. And so basically, I ask myself very often in the morning, who am I today? And what grand and glorious adventures can I have? Because how much of our life we've been trying to create the right definition of us and to put that into the world as the perfect picture of us. And that costs so much energy. So my name is Yasodhara. I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, and I facilitate also the wonderful specialty classes, Right Voice for You, the 3-day body class, and Talk to the Entities classes. Yes, which are all classes that were created by facilitators and most of them by Gary Douglas, and Talk to the Entities, of course, by Shannon O'Hara, by following their knowing. And it's so beautiful when you follow your knowing and you just listen to the whispers of creations that really desire to be in the world and desire to get into the hands of people to create consciousness. You will always create greater than what you thought you could.
Oh, you will, wait. You will always create greater than you thought you could. Meme! That's the first meme! Wow! Cool. Now you can go.
Yeah. I love this. So how often have we decided what we are able to create, and we actually don't ask for the contribution of everything we create? Like everything is consciousness. So the moment you ask, for example, for this series that you're doing, like what do they desire to be in the world? When do they desire to be into the world? How do they desire to be into the world? And I work with a lot of people around the world, and I also sometimes still notice it myself that I'm not always asking those questions, and then I get into this forceful mode of creation because I think something should be there. But how much do we cut out receiving with that, rather than asking what would like to be created by me?
Yep. And now that what would like to be created by me? And that is how many times you get this, the whisper, you get the tingling, and then you go to, no, that's, I cannot do it by myself. To me, the first thought, if there's something, I decide or I choose most of the time to do something based on, can I do it alone, yes or no?
Yeah. And it's really like, I loved when you said like, does it desire to be created by me? Because like, how often would we then go into like creating like the me, like making it personal? Now it's my creation, but it's literally like, we are like energetic beings. We're space, we're consciousness, and we're energy. Now, the moment you put your energy, your space, and your consciousness, you add it to a relationship, to a creation, that changes what's now becoming available. But that's not something like, that's not something I learned in school, that, just by being around, there is something that opens up. Like, seriously? No, we learn that we have to do things, and then we have to do the right things, and then we have to be something, and then we have to have the right licenses. But we never learn, like, actually us being present with whatever is talking to us will be what actually facilitates those entities, those creations, to be something in the world and to actually arrive in the hand of people, other people.
So you're actually telling me that I'm not a creator, I'm only a facilitator.
Well, and that's the thing, like, what have we made about creation? And I've, like, so who am I? I've spent like 15 years touring the world as a singer, giving singing lessons. And a big thing in the art world often is to find your identity and to really put yourself on stage and to really be someone and then be the greatest one and then work together. And then at a certain point, what I saw for me, but what I also see with a lot of people, that it becomes just very, very boring, because you're basically 24/7 just trying to get hit by the right judgments. But it's still judgment.
Wow.
You just position yourself. Yeah, you just position yourself like, okay, like, am I in the zone where I'm going to get hit by the right targets or by the right judgments?
Wow, you know what this brings up into me? It's like in life. It's totally like in life. So you're saying being there, being the best, performing the best, and waiting for somebody to come and judge whatever I was doing or being, or as being right or wrong, or, you know, being there and I'm going to take it all in. So I actually have been a star of my life. I'm done with that.
Yeah, and that's not wrong. That's like a thing. But if that's the only thing, what I started, and that's also how I got to the Access Consciousness tools, it was just very draining and very boring. And I couldn't explain what I was missing. That was the biggest part, actually. I knew I was looking for something, but I didn't know what it was. And that was like, in the end, it was very, very frustrating, because I was like, I had like done so many techniques and I'd been doing so many things. But like that feeding of the being, of that energy, space, and consciousness that we are, that was totally not acknowledged. I didn't even know that existed. And it's like, you look for something and you know it exists, but then you can't find it. So.
And how much are you already going into judgment, that you look at around you and it seems that everybody has found it, but I'm blonde, I'm cute, I'm not bright, so I cannot figure that out. It's always for the other ones, but not for me.
Yes. And there, I'm going to tell you a secret to everybody that listens to it. Guess what? Probably most of the people you think that have got it all somewhere feel exactly the same as you do. And that's like, we so often look at other people and we make them something that they aren't. Maybe that's a part of who they be. And yes, why not be inspired by that? But so often do we take that picture and then we like, and it's very like this thing, like it's something like I perceive it's very quick. It's not even like, it's so quick that we do that. And then we start applying all the energetics that we perceive, and we just start applying them in our own life. And we don't even know that we're doing it very often. And just things stop working, or things just get muddy or slow. And we never ask like, hey, what is this? Why is it getting muddy and slow? Am I maybe applying someone else's things into my universe? And is that actually what's keeping me from being all of me?
Ooh. Applying someone else's things or set of rules into my life is what keeps me from being me.
Well, I would wonder about that. Like, for example, if I see you doing great things and I somewhere energetically buy that as rights for creation, for example, because that's the thing, like, or our reality is about right and wrong. So you see someone doing it, and how often have we intertwined or mixed up like rightness and inspiration? So we now make what we see energetically right, and we're gonna start like bringing that into our lives, or pushing it away. And it's like these things. What I love. I'm not saying this because it never happens to me.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was. Yeah. This conversation doesn't concern us. We are the facilitators. It never happened to us. We never. You know. We are the perfect. You're not.
And that's really the thing. for everybody watching this later, what if you could start acknowledging that one of our greatest gifts is our willingness to look at things and to get out of where we will judge something or where we think we have to get out of something.
Yeah.
And you can start looking at, okay, so if I wouldn't make whatever's going on in my life greater than me, how could I use everything that I start perceiving, how I'm functioning, and that is not working, actually to create a change in the world?
Ooh.
We make so many things that don't work wrong. And then we think like,
Yes.
oh, it's so wrong. So we start like, how often do we start hiding it? So now we're going to hide something that's wrong instead of just like bringing it in, looking at it and just like, okay, so now what can I do with this? And if I would really not make it bigger and I would not feed that thing,
yeah,
what else do I know here?
Yeah, it's like, you know, Dane says you're like, which one of the wolves are you feeding? The one who's going to, you know, who's going to keep you in judgment, or the other one who's going to become your greatness? As like, that's my interpretation of it. It's like having the two. At the end of the day, who would you like to be in the world? What would you like? What would you like to create in your life? And to me personally, it doesn't concern you. It took me some time to ask this question and really be present with the question. When I say really be present, is getting over the frustration and the stress that it appeared in my life, and leave me alone. I figured this later. But yeah, okay, cool. But there where I was not willing to look at that, there were all kind of other things filling up that space, that available space. So to me, it's like, what would you like to create in your life? And you're not alone here. It's like, you say it in the right voice for you. And I have to admit that class is working my ass big time. It's like, you know, the class hasn't even happened. For those of you watching, there's going to be a class. There's going to be a right voice for you in Brussels, and I'm shamelessly pitching on it. And it's ever since we're starting to work together on this class, it's like busting my butt. It's where I talk too much, where I don't say enough, where I keep silent and I shouldn't. And then what is this creating further down the line? Where I go to those automatic, if this happens, I should shut up. If this happens, I should talk. And then not asking a question.
Yeah, and I'm just going to pick in there because I think you said it really beautifully, like with the two wolves, who are you feeding? But then how often do we go like, oh, this wolf of greatness, of course. So now everything that's not that greatness, what I have judged as not my greatness, I have to start shoving it apart.
Yeah.
And that's
because
also
it's
with
not
this red
right.
voice, because it's not right. So we start hiding it, we start shoving it away. What if the greatness of us is actually acknowledging everything you are? And I think that's, for me, that's still like the hardest part, like really being vulnerable with that and just looking at like, oh, that sucked. Or, and also like what you say about right voice, like how often do we say like, oh, we said that or we did that and that was not the right thing. But actually what if it was exactly what was required? What if that was exactly what was required to create the change for you, for the other, maybe for a lot of people in the universe? And that's something we are not trained to look at. We're not trained to look at what's right about what we do. Not from rightness, but like, hey, what if that wasn't a coincidence how I was behaving there? What was I aware of? What was I facilitating? What was actually going on? Because I was really weird there. I was so weird. What was actually right there? And a lot of people do that on stage. They go really weird on stage and some love it, but some go also really weird. And then the minute they start acknowledging actually and asking questions, often they start being aware of like maybe like your audience that is really not willing to hear what you have to say. Or you're just aware of, and this is like, we will be so aware energetically, but we've never been asked to look at that. So we will automatically often like reply to the energy, which seems so wrong because nobody else is aware of that. But actually, what if it maybe, and I'm not saying always, because there might also be things that you will have to look at for yourself, but like, what if like 99% of the time you're actually addressing an energy that's present, maybe for you, maybe for someone else.
Whoa. I'm like, frozen, not frozen, brain frozen, brain grilled, fried, whatever.
Yeah, and it's really there. That's what I love about these access tools, because one thing, yes, it's a really big toolbox with a lot of things you can apply and very pragmatically and play with it. But what they facilitate you to is to become these tools. What we always have been. When you look at kids, when you would take like a book from Access and you open it up and you start reading and you have kids around you and you just start looking at all these tools that are in this book, how they're using it, they are doing that. They are being that. There is no separation between them and consciousness. And then like we start being like educated in this reality to be someone perfect, not to be us, not to be great, not to be greater than we were yesterday. We just start to be right. Okay, so now how can you be more right? Oh, now you're going to do another class. Oh, you're going to do like the next bars class. So how can you get more right with that? Oh, now you become a facilitator. Let's become more right.
Let's become
now
more
I'm a
right.
facilitator. And this is really different. Like when you get to a point where it's like, wow, fuck, how much rightness am I using? And how is that actually working for the world? Is that actually creating greater? Or is that just permanently creating great? No, what is that? No, not permanent. Just like, is it actually
temporarily?
Temporarily. Is it very temporarily? And when we speak about temporarily, it might be that you create something that might work for the coming 60 years. But if you look at, wow, what is 60 years in the plan of 4 trillion years? Very temporarily. And every choice, because my favorite tool, I was thinking like, what's my favorite tool? And it was like, choice. I was like, what am I going to say about choice? But that's where you can start looking. Every choice we make actually creates a future. And then when we ask like, okay, so what is this choice going to create? We have this question. So in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, but what is this choice going to create in 4 trillion years?
And there I need to, like come with a layer of podpok right now, because when you say what's that going to, I'm like, I don't know, I don't care. Why would I care? Why would I care? I don't know. I'm not going to be there in 4 trillion. Wow.
Yeah, and is that also like that's I love to have these conversations actually, because it's truly to start looking at, wow, but is that how we limit ourselves? How we limit our being?
Let's write a manual on this. How to limit your being.
And it's crazy because nobody talks about it. You know, some people will talk about karma and you come back and you do this and you do that. But like, I have seen no modality under the sun addressing this unlimited energy that we are.
And I have a question. Can I ask a question? For somebody who's, we're familiar with the kingdom of we and me and the kingdom of we, and where we are all together and, like kumbaya, some sort of idea, like we are all together, there is oneness, we are all connected. But for somebody who's just diving in,
no, can I stop you? Yeah. Like the kingdom of we is not kumbaya.
No, I mean,
like if you and I'm not saying to you, but like how often do we think that, oh yeah, it's like, oh, but if you look at a whale in the sea, is the whale ever going to separate from whatever comes by or from the ocean? They wouldn't try that.
But how
often do we do that?
And how often do we do that? And how often we just we don't even think of the oneness other than in other modalities.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like talk.
You talk, and I just barge in.
My body is changing a lot, so I might cough. But it's also like, let's take the example of the whale in the sea. Like, who is owned by who? Does the whale owns the sea, or does the sea owns the whale?
But do they have to own each other, or?
Well, it's more energetically. Like when you look also at like we often think like we own our houses, we own the land we live on, we own. But is that actually true, or is actually exactly the opposite true, where we are owned by all these things? Who's going out to work for the house? Is it the house or is it you? And there is a very different dynamic possible when you just acknowledge what is. And what if that's also an acknowledgement of the kingdom of we, where you're not going to try and separate from something to prove you can do it, or to prove you're strong, or to prove you can make it, and start really looking at the ecosystem of the universe, how it truly works.
This is where I wanted to come. Because when you were saying making a change in the world, when you're saying making a change in the world, what is the choice that you're creating that could bring a change in the world? And what is this going to create for the whole world? From this position of me, all I can see that my world is like wil worden, for example, and that's already big. So for somebody who's just in this, well, what's my world and how can I change the world? What is the question that we could ask, or what is it that you would like to tell them?
And I would like to say this might be an advanced conversation when talking about the Access Consciousness tools. So I would truly say, like, if you've never heard about this, like, go and get your bars run or get a body process, because you will get a totally different possibility actually offered to you to start being also with your body. And it's truly there. Like these questions, there is no whale in the ocean that will ask for that. How can I contribute to the world? It just knows. And it will be prepared to die if it doesn't. And it will be prepared to eat if it has to. But there is no brain thing going on. There is no figuring out thing going on. And when you look at kids, they will know. They know. They know they can change things in bodies. They know they can change things in the world. They know they can change. Oh, you don't feel good? Give it to me. It's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it, mommy. I'll take it, daddy. Yeah. They know that. But then we start like kind of being so weird often as adults by not acknowledging that it's possible. So these kids think like, oh, I must be crazy. Like I thought I could just change that in your body because I knew it. But then you just keep limping. Oh, maybe I can't.
Or maybe you get angry because all of a sudden you don't feel anything. So what did I do wrong? I mean, okay, cool. I'll stop doing that. I wanted to make you happy. And then... So
I'm going to ask a question for everybody watching here. How much of your capacities that you are, not what you did, but that you have always been, have you given up because nobody received them? And you literally, maybe when thinking you were totally crazy, or whatever you were capable of was just an accident or a coincidence, or, you know, the wind blowing at the right time in the right direction. And that was actually what brought everything together. What made it possible was actually you knowing, making the choice to do something, to be something, to change something. And that's actually for me, Access, what brings that. And also this class is Red Voice for you. It's truly to start acknowledging what you've always been capable of. And it's crazy. We're like bodies, and we're like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we constantly go look for other people. We go look for other things that will give us an answer. And I see people doing that a lot with Access too. They go to Access to get another answer, while Access is designed to give you a question so you can finally start opening up that big golden pot of yours where you have access to something that no one else has.
Oh.
And we keep thinking like, I'm wrong and things are not working, rather than just like, no, just open the pot, please. Because the moment you open something up, a lot of people will be able to tap into that and now have it too.
And that's where we go back to being the change in the world. Just open up your pot. Yes, when you do that, you open up the world of possibilities for so many others to tap in and do their, lid popping, pot popping, whatever. Yeah. And how much more and greater, and yeah.
Right. And that's what the Access tools actually for me are designed to start acknowledging, like for most people, like already start acknowledging that you have a pot. Most people don't even know, like, do I know something? No, wait a minute. I can do stuff really well and stuff, but do I know something? Like, do I be something that's actually relevant to the world? Most people don't even know. I have to say honestly, like, I didn't know.
Well, confession time, confession with the facilitator. I don't know exactly what is in my pot, but I'm willing to discover it. I'm willing to look at it that I have a pot. I have a pot full of gold. And then I'm willing to look at it. You're muted. You muted yourself. Why did you mute yourself?
I know.
See, all of a sudden
I have a very amazing friend in my house who's trying to make very softly coffee.
she can make all the noise she wants. We are going to give her some kisses because I know who's in your house. Mwah.
You get some kisses.
Wow. Thank you, Yasodhara, for this exchange conversation. Whatever this was, I don't know what it was. It was like popping the world into consciousness, like putting them on a rocket and go, babes, whether it's in the ocean or it's in your golden pot. Just
yeah.
What if that's the question that stays with me. What if whatever has been happening in your life, you've been doing, you've been being, what was required for you to open up to more?
And everything, like, I just want to finish with that. Everything you believe about yourself. And if you have in any way doubt if you're relevant.
Yeah.
If you are relevant.
Not me.
What if you could start just, like, even if you don't believe it right now, but just like, okay, what if I am relevant? So what if I was? What if what I know? What if what I be? What if what I be with my body? Even maybe you judge your body like most of the times. What if that's actually a package that's very relevant to create change in the world?
I'm like,
yeah.
It would be a nice moment to just say bye-bye and close. But
exactly. I think this is the end of the video where you're like, bye-bye, go and sit on that one. Let us know how it goes.
And yet, I would like you to tell us if people want to stalk you, find you, connect with you, stay in connection with you, where do they find you? What's the channel to reach?
You can find on my website or through Facebook when you fill in my full name, Yasodhara Romero Fernandes. I chose exactly like a very short, like, no, my name is not a bit.ly link, but hey.
That's too cool.
Yeah, and please, if this conversation is waking up something in you, don't hesitate to go and find accessconssciousness.com. And there are so many amazing facilitators around the world, so you can just access them, and there are like very different energies, people around the world doing this. So go and check that out and see what it maybe can create in your life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kisses and hugs. And until next time, somewhere in the world or live, all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory.